Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the webinar titled Business Continuity Planning with AI in Times of COVID-19 and Work from Home. On behalf of NASSCOM, first of all, I'd like to welcome you all and thank you for taking out time to attend this webinar. To introduce myself, I am Hitesh Atra, part of Northern Membership Team at NASSCOM. Our key presenter today is Mr. Raghu Ravindula, CEO and co-founder at Yellow Messenger. In today's webinar, we'll cover how every company, big or small, who are grappling with an influx of queries from customers and employees, given the COVID-19 pandemic, can learn executable strategies to turn around the BCP threat using conversational AI. We'll take questions and answers at the end of the session. You may put in questions in the questions panel of the GoToWebinar console. I now request Mr. Raghu Ravindula to take over from here.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Hopefully, all of you are having a productive time working from home and getting to spend more time with families as well. I'll give a brief introduction about the company so that it sets the context through this entire webinar. Yellow Messenger is a enterprise conversational AI platform. It's been 4 years since we have been working with 100 plus enterprise customers globally. We've been working with enterprises to automate everything from customer engagement towards employee engagement, IT, HR automation, etc. And I think we're proud that we've been able to create more than $100 million of impact through these automation deployments across these enterprises. The reason we are doing this webinar is over the last 3 months. Over the last 3 months, we've been engaging with multiple enterprises, and especially over the time where we have seen COVID started impacting, a lot of enterprises have come back to us and asked about how conversational AI can help them solve these problems. And we have seen 4 to 5 enterprises successfully deploy that, and we felt that it is useful for all of us to know more about how conversational AI can impact the business continuity process across a wide set of enterprises. So life has completely changed over the period of March. All of us are looking to maintain business as usual, and calling these uncertain times is actually not representing the real picture. It's actually disrupted times. Things have come to fold where we haven't imagined, where we'll not be able to access our office across our premises in the world. So there is no redundancy across geographies. There is no redundancy across IT services working across multiple places. So these are absolutely uncertain, disrupted times. And each one of us in enterprises and businesses are looking how to manage our businesses, provide products and services to customers at an acceptable level. There is lockdown not only across India but across the world. A lot of GCCs would be working across multiple geographies, and we are seeing our customers as well trying to grapple with the situation where IT support help desk out of India is not able to cover for disruption happening in France or disruption happening in UK. And these are the situations that BCP was not really planned for a lot of companies, and customers are adopting technology to solve that problem. It's kind of reflected in all the experiences that we personally are going through, be it Amazon to Big Basket to insurance companies. where they are seeing significant volume increases in customer inquiries, either due to increased demand for their services or increased number of queries due to uncertainty about some of the services, whether my bank account would be available, whether my ATM would be operational, whether my VPN would work in this scenario, whether I need to move the laptop back to my home. So tons of queries, and a lot of time the constant response is that, hey, we are running on limited staff, will not be able to solve this problem currently. And this is definitely taking the customer service multiple notches down from what businesses were providing in their regular scenario. Um, and I came across this a really nice video. The reason I wanted to put it out is that we always relate BCP to something that's there in the contract, but don't really understand why BCP is really needed and what is the definition of business continuity process. So I'll just play this video. It's about 3 minutes, and I'll come back to you after the video. By that time, I think all of you should have a clear understanding of what is BCP and what it takes to provide that, and why it's important for the business.
Imagine a business. Businesses exist because they create and sell products and services. And those products could be digital or they could be physical. And customers will buy your products and they'll spend a lot of money on your business. And companies will use that money to invest and grow. But how are these products delivered? And the answer is through hard-working employees using company resources. But every now and then, one of those resources is going to be unavailable, and it could be a problem with your IT. It might be a problem with your desk phones, and this could affect a lot of staff across your business. It could even be your work premises has the problem and staff are unable to enter the building and work from there. Anything could happen within reason. It's not a movie. But when a disruptive incident occurs and your customers don't get their products, it can seriously damage your business, and it could even affect your reputation. And that business empire you've been working so hard on, that can just disappear, and it might even kill your business entirely. But through business continuity planning, we can change all that. So let's rewind. When a disruptive incident occurs and that resource is unavailable, we can have some planned workarounds in place. So if your desk phone stops working, we can have a work mobile. If your IT is not working, maybe we've got a manual workaround. And with that building problem we had, why don't we just give our employees the capability to work from home? That way, your customers will still get their products and they'll still be spending the money on your business. So you can get back to those plans of world domination. What is business continuity? It's simple. It's the ability to continue delivering your products and services at acceptable levels following a disruptive incident. Thanks for watching.
Wasn't that a very simple representation of what we need to do as businesses? I would like to reiterate that point of the ability of the business to provide the products and services at acceptable levels. And of course, we are in a disruptive cycle, and that's the key focus of business continuity plan. If you see business continuity planning, it's addressed in three ways. There are threats that you typically see a company or a business faces, and these threats could be different for different sets of organizations, whether the organizations are offline centric, or the organizations are purely digital businesses. And these threats clearly require different strategies to address. Physical threats need different strategies, digital threats need different strategies, and all of these have key vulnerabilities or single point of failures which need to be addressed. These failures can happen across people, systems, infrastructure, equipment, supply chain disruption. But at the core of it, if you see a lot of disruption, where it happens is around how people have information to react around these scenarios. A lot of business continuity planning in a regular course would involve redundancy of people, would involve redundancy of systems, would involve redundancy of supply chains in different environments. But it always needs people to interact and enable these different fallback mechanisms while addressing it. Today, we are actually faced with a unique situation with COVID-19. A lot of redundancy mechanisms that we have planned for in our regular BCP course are no longer sufficient to address the continuity of our businesses. There are redundant workplaces, but it's locked down across the world. So people really are not able to go back to their offices. People are working from home. There are redundant call centers. So there is a call center in X location, there's a call center in Y location as a redundant process. But unfortunately, we are not able to invoke that redundancy as it's a lockdown across. And there are health issues where there is a real risk of one of our employees or colleagues being affected by a health reason due to COVID-19, and that's not a typical BCP risk that's typically covered across the organization set. Probably it's covered at an executive level, but not at really the organization-wide level. So all of this is kind of putting people at the center of the process. How are we able to augment the limited resources that we have? So there are people who are working from home. They have limited access to the systems. They have limited access to the colleagues, collaboration at the right time. And how are we enable that limited set of resources to either address the increased inquiries that are coming in due to increased demand or increased uncertainty around the products and services for your specific company. So what, I've seen a lot of articles around a lot of digital transformation being driven due to COVID-19, but why is it really happening? What if IT support automation at the company, whenever you're seeing this increased volume of inquiries around how to work from home, how does my VPN work? If your ITs and HR systems can start automating 50 to 75% of those queries automatically on your Teams, on your Slack, on your telephony, the existing staff or existing experts are 10x more productive during these times. What if your call centers, what if your customer support agents are augmented with conversational bots that can answer 60% to 80% of customer inquiries? That completely reduces the burden on the existing workforce that is providing customer service. And this is actually possible, and we are seeing significant examples of it. One of our largest non-banking financial services customer, one of our largest insurance customer, they have completely closed down their call center operations because people are working from home. There is no way they can route it to the agents, and replaced it with customer support on WhatsApp, where consumers can log on to the official channel, ask queries about insurance, get health insurance, inquire whether COVID covers their insurance policies, etc. And this has been so seamless that post the COVID situation, the company is in fact planning to never reopen the regular call center back again. So that's digital transformation in 1-2 weeks. That typically takes about a few years to achieve digitization of call centers. So conversational AI, we believe, is uniquely positioned to address the challenges that we are facing. The challenges that we are facing is essentially orchestration of processes across the organization, be it customer support or be it IT support, HR support, involves orchestration across people. The people need to find out from multiple people about what's happening on a certain specific item. It needs orchestration across processes. So the data need to be fetched from multiple different applications, trigger workflows to provide service back to the customer, and seamless communication to both the employees and customers about what are the changes that are happening within the company. We are seeing companies where the HR policies are getting changed. There are sick leaves, there are paid leaves being introduced. So that's the communication that needs to be addressed to the employees. We are seeing companies where insurance companies are creating new policies and helping their customers who hold existing policies in a way that that can help them. And communication is of top priority for them on channels that those consumers are being available at this point of time. And one technology that can address across these spectrum of processes, right from being able to interact at the front end and being able to orchestrate process at the back end, is uniquely positioned to solve this problem, and we are seeing that happen in person. 60% of the conversations that enterprises have are actually repetitive and mundane. I mean, even before the COVID situation, we have analyzed across all our IT support bots. We're seeing that password reset accounts to about 30% of support volume for IT help desk applications. We're seeing even in customer support, if you take an insurance company, claim status probably accounts for about 5 to 10% of regular volume that an insurance company gets in terms of their responses. And fortunately, over a period of last 3 years, the technology has adopted to be able to handle these regular and mundane customer support activities or employee support activities at a high degree of accuracy, and also a high degree of CSAT and NPS. Not only it's an automation that is helping improve efficiency, but at the same time, the virtual assistants are actually improving the customer experience. Earlier, the users had to wait for 5 minutes, 10 minutes to 20 minutes in trying to get their questions answered, whereas conversational AI is helping them get those answers in 2 to 3 seconds, because it is able to orchestrate across these applications and users and be able to respond to the customers in real time. So it's not doing a trade-off between the customer experience that an enterprise is providing. While there are innumerable amount of scenarios that are possible using conversational AI and intelligent automation, what we wanted to bring out in this webinar is something all of us can take back and implement in the next 1 week. And time is really critical out here because the situation is evolving, escalating every single day. So 3 broad areas that we are seeing that are of immediate impact is primarily the customer experience. These are the times when companies that provide great customer experience, even with disruption, gain a lot of customer confidence. And the solution here integrates with your existing digital call center, integrates with the most popular channels like WhatsApp. We are seeing the adoption of WhatsApp take off big time during this scenario, where customers are expecting that they reach out to the organization, get support immediately. Lenskart is one example. We're seeing Bajaj group of companies implementing this and getting significant volumes addressed here right off the bat. So customer experience is one single piece where there is a lot of data available of your company on the questions answered to your customers, and that can be repurposed to automate the support on these channels. We do understand that a lot of that can be routed through the agents, where the bot is not able to respond, and the platform provides the ability to use the workforce that you have, which is on low volume, to address the really emotional, the really tough customer challenges, whereas most of the support task is automated. Similarly, HR is one function that is getting affected. People have questions on when the office is going to reopen. Is my job going to get affected? What is the policy? So there's a lot of uncertainty, and that is driving a lot of inquiries to the HR. And a lot of the answers to those queries are actually similar across multiple group of people. And we are seeing companies ramp up adoption of HR assistants during this process to provide a seamless experience to their employees, build confidence, and actually deliver productivity as well. Happy employees drive more productivity. And the third aspect, again, which is of really high impact and immediately addressable, is ITSM. The environment for ITSM has changed. People are working from home. They're using VPNs more often than they used to do earlier. They don't have an IT support guy. They can just run in and ask, hey, can you just reset my password, etc. So and any delay in ITSM is actually making the thin workforce that's already loaded with volume even more unproductive, because they're not able to work on systems and applications. So that's an area. These are the three broad areas we clearly see that you could go ahead and implement immediately the process. So the call center, we talked about how that's being disrupted. Agents are working from home. There's increase in volume, and the routing algorithms that were prior designed for work in office kind of requirements and now are no more working while people are working from home, and few of them are not even available to work. So these are the challenges that the customer support organization is really facing, and conversational AI across multiple platforms, right from Google Assistant, Alexa, WhatsApp, web, mobile, is helping them seamlessly convert their call center into digital call center within 7 days, and automate up to 60 to 70%, and at the same time enable remote employees to seamlessly transfer from bot to human and provide delightful customer experience without missing a beat. HR and automation, HR and IT automation are facing significant disruption, a lot of employee queries, and the conversational AI platforms with pre-built integrations with a lot of the existing HR systems, compensation systems, payroll systems, and even the ability to integrate with a lot of policies, FAQs within the company can provide very rich employee experience while they are working from home and their regular work schedule is completely disturbed. So we are seeing that channels like Slack, Microsoft Teams are being adopted, and in some cases there are organizations that have enabled employee assistance on a Google Assistant as well. So seamlessly employees can get their queries addressed, and there's communication from the HR system to engage, find out about the mood of the employees, find out about their engagement levels, problems, using interactive conversations across these channels. Diving deep into the IT process, what we are seeing across customers is there are a lot of alerts. A lot of companies are having on-premise systems that they are using currently, or systems that are not really designed to kind of seamlessly be accessible from through a work from home environment. And we are seeing companies, employees having a lot of queries around those applications, ability to access that data, and ability to use those applications in a remote scenario. So we are seeing IT support conversational assistants that can interact and be deployed on top of your on-premise applications, and enable and expose that data back to the end user through a conversational interface. So you take a ERP system that is within your premises, a conversational system that is integrated and deployed on top of a ERP where pre-existing integrations exist, and which is enabling your field sales, or which is enabling your employees working from remotely to access and read and write data out of these ERP systems, out of your core banking systems, core insurance systems, is kind of driving the productivity of the employees multiple notches above, while work from home, and actually making possible some of the scenarios that were previously not possible to support in this kind of disruptions. So the efficient orchestration of the processes, not only of the processes that are actually on the cloud, but also the processes that are currently on your on-premise infrastructure, but you're not able to expose the data because they're not available remotely. Conversational AI is helping bridge that gap during this situation. So helping drive efficient orchestration of processes using conversational AI. Owing to this, we as a company really believe that we are in it for the long game. We want the company is built to help enterprises be more effective. The company is built to help enterprises in the time of need. So we have come up with a business continuity process offer to help enterprises do a very quick implementation of a bot within 7 days, and we are giving away this for free for the first set of processes which are more impactful for the company, and we hope that will play a small role in helping you better deal with business continuity for your organizations. So the virtual assistants are the new agents, and maybe this is the start of an era where a disruption is causing a positive change for the company over a period of time by enabling or by accelerating the automation within the company. At this point of time, I'll also like to take an example of a call center that we are working with, and we've been working with them for the last 6 months and 7 months, 6 to 7 months, and it was very tough for us to go ahead and replace the existing call center setup, because there are a lot of existing processes that are delaying the adoption of conversational AI. So what happened over the last 1 or 2 weeks is, anyways, the existing process is completely disrupted, and now the company is taking this opportunity to to move a 1,000-member call center setup to a completely digital channel within a week's time, which would be unthinkable in regular process. So there are areas where a significant step change in automation of the company is happening, taking this disruption as a as advantage, as a change that can get long-term value for the company. So not only we need to look at this as one-time business process continuity, but business process continuity that is taken at this point of time and adapted to actually deliver a really long-term value for the company. So some of the key features of these agents we've seen across. They deliver about 89% of accuracy. Organizations, especially GCCs, we are spread across multiple countries, so the virtual agents can handle about 92 languages. So you really need not worry about deploying at multiple locations. And the ability to work across 35 plus channels. So if you are using a Zoom versus if you are using a Slack versus a Teams, it's just you can deploy it without missing a beat across these channels. And at the same time, a big worry for a lot of organizations is that, hey, can I completely rely on this? What if the customer has something that they need to talk to the user? So all these agents have the ability to transfer it back to the humans. So the customer essentially gets the best of automation and the best of humans during these times. We'll just run through two case studies. Bajaj Finserv, if you just go through their site, just open bajajfinserv.in, you would see that the virtual assistants are the first point of entry to the company. And it's configured across 9 different languages. There are 100 plus bots that are deployed across different functions of the company. And not only they are automating, but they're able to generate about $700 million projected business through the chatbots and virtual assistants. From a productivity experience perspective, some of the leading companies like Schlumberger have adopted our solution and using to derive significant productivity value by deploying across multiple different processes and functions. These are a few other examples of our deployments where customers are seeing the benefit of conversational AI automation at a really large scale, and all these applications come with pre-built integrations to your core systems, be it your cloud-based systems or be it your on-premise setups. It doesn't matter. The virtual assistants can integrate and take data from that to drive those conversations. And these pre-built integrations enable you to deploy within a really rapid time to deliver value. We partner with quite a lot of SI companies and very happy to work with if there is an existing relationship that one of your companies has with these companies, and we could use those integrations relationships to deliver a great experience. So thank you everyone, and we hope we can make AI work for you. For any questions, you can contact us at contact@yellowmessenger.com, and we'll be able to have our consultants work with you to determine how fast there can be a bot or virtual assistant that can be deployed, and the ROI that you can get, and consult on you for your BCP process. So we look forward to working with you and enable a lot of your businesses to provide great service even during the time of the disruption. I'll be happy to take questions and go deeper as we go along.
Thanks, Raghu. We encourage everyone to put in their questions in the questions panel on the GoToWebinar console. We'll try and answer one by one. So there is a question posted by Mohan Kumar saying, what kind of NLP technologies are used?
Yeah. So the NLP technologies that we use is the core of it is sentence embedding. So there is the NLP platform is built on BERT. It uses quite a bit of TensorFlow. While these are the core components, the NLP would also, for a lot of enterprise scenarios, needs the ability to manage the content. So a recognition of entities uh, through portfolio of products, a recognition of entities through semantics. So broadly, it's built on TensorFlow, sentence embedding, BERT as key components. But the framework also involves components that are essentially tuned to how enterprise content is adapted.
Okay, got a next question from Suraj Rao asking, how is the security aspect handled while accessing the confidential data over a chatbot? As an example, for an HR bot, how do you make sure that the pay slips are not exposed?
Yeah. So that's a very great question, and the deployments at a lot of the customers that I talked about have very sensitive data, financial services companies, HR, etc. So to give an overview of some of the security measures out there, so there is a masking of sensitive data. So during the configuration or development of a virtual assistant, the certain entities can be configured as masked entities, and all the data that is represented as sensitive is completely masked from users to be able to access them. So except for the APIs, no human can really access that particular data. And we follow all the guidelines of ISO 27001, and that confirms a lot of security standards that are determined for the companies, and and the company is also GDPR compliant, so just takes care of all the personal data that is represented. And to add on to that, there is an ability to do time-based purging. So the user or the company can set a particular timeline when the data is purged. So you can say that for every half an hour, all the entity level data is automatically purged and pushed back to your servers, or pushed back to the customers' on-premise servers. That is something that can be configured. Broadly, I think these cover the security measures, even for the most sensitive data that's available over interaction on chats.
There are a couple of questions from Mona Kocher saying, can you please give an example of a simple HR query that can be taken care of, and also how a human touch is added, which is a core job of a HR function?
Absolutely. I think I'll give two examples that clearly drive the value out there. Significant thing that we are seeing is around, at this point of time, is around leave and applying for sick leave, getting their leave status, and also getting to know about work from home policies. So a simple example is, I want to kind of apply for a leave. It goes back to the system, it checks, understand what the user is asking. It can go back to a Workday, SuccessFactors, or any system, try to get the remaining leaves for that employee and provide those leaves, ask them whether it's a casual leave, sick leave, and actually complete the entire transaction over voice or chat. The second, on the engagement level, which is being used phenomenally well by Flipkart, is they wanted to gauge the engagement of their users over not only over this period, but I think the deployment is for a broader set of time. The ability of the bot to proactively start conversations with the employees. So to give an example, during this time, every evening or every 2 days, the bot can interact with each one of the employees saying that, hey, it's been already about 2 days. How are you feeling about productivity? It's already been to, are you feeling anxious about the existing scenario? And take all this feedback from the employees uh, and give a detailed analysis to the HR team on this is the overall mood and here are your risk areas, what you think are not being addressed properly. So people are concerned about their leave status because they're working from home, whether it's considered a casual leave, whether it's considered a working day. So those are the feedback that the HR team can go and address and get a complete gauge of employee engagement during this time where you're not able to meet them face to face. So these are the two I think straightforward examples in HR that I can give that can be addressed effectively with conversational AI.
Sure, thank you. I can see that there is a series of questions awaiting to be answered, so I'll just quickly go on to the next one. Next one is from Vijendra Singh. He's saying, is there a trial version available? If yes, are channel integrations also available in the trial version?
There is a trial version available, and channel integrations are available a part of the trial version. Yes.
Okay, thanks. Next one is from Somak Kundu. Are these entities location specific? These bots, are these location specific?
No, so the bots are not location specific. Bots are a representation of the data and content to which they are integrated or on which they are built upon. So if the content and data is location specific, uh, absolutely. But bots are essentially can morph into different scenarios. It's not more about what bots are, it's more about what you make out of them. So they are not location specific by default unless you want to make them location specific.
Okay, next one from Abhay Nerukar. Is it only text based or also supports voice slash vision?
It does support voice and vision as well. So the platform supports voice and text primarily, but has the ability to integrate with Vision AI. Vision AI is not part of the core platform, but we have seen customers integrate with third-party Vision AI applications, especially around and authentication, etc. But it is voice and text, but integratable with Vision AI.
Okay, got a question from Nikita Chavan saying, what is the role of HR and how it can ensure smooth functioning in a work from home scenario? So I think drilling down more on the HR side of it.
Beautiful. I think that's the right way. Um, I'll take an example, a leading pharma company, and they had to suddenly decide on day 3 or day 4 of this that from tomorrow there needs to be work from home. And at the same time, the company was going through a lot of changes in their job grades, etc. And people had like a ton of queries around: is my performance cycle going to be delayed? How is my compensation is going to be affected during this particular period because there is performance appraisal that's waiting. My grade was this, whether my grade will be changed. So all these queries which are not like generic across multiple HR companies, there was automation that was done to address a significant of these queries for the HR function. Um, and I talked about the engagement use case, and I talked about leave policies, and another company that had HR specific use cases was around reimbursements, right? I mean, in this scenario, how do I get reimbursements? There's so many things pending, my expenses are pending. What is the way to address them? So a lot of these are areas where HR function is bombarded, and all these can be automated. The second part is proactive engagement, where HR can initiate surveys, initiate conversations with the users on their mood, etc., and be able to get a lot of insights and do proactive measures based on those insights.
Sure, thank you. Next one from Shubhadeep Mukherjee. Where does Yellow Messenger server resides? Is it on-premise or off-premise?
Yellow Messenger primarily is a cloud-based platform. It is hosted on Azure. It is hosted in India, Southeast Asia, US, and Europe regions. And Yellow Messenger also provides on-premise setup support, so it can reside on your premise as well. But obviously, that takes a longer time to deploy, implement, etc. So we support both, but our primary mode of service is through the cloud.
Sure. Next question from Deepak Yadav asking what kind of reports it generate to see the whole performance.
Brilliant. One, it's called goal completion rate. Every single deployment essentially has certain goals, just like a human, a virtual assistant has a goal saying that you need to address customer queries for these 5 different functions. You need to engage employees and get this following information. And a performance of a virtual assistant clearly is about how many of those are getting addressed completely. So we call it goal completion rate, and you get a detailed analysis of all your goals and the effectiveness with which all these goals are addressed for a wide variety of users. And it also provides the ability to segment the users with different scenarios. So users coming from, let's say, Hyderabad, or users coming from UK have probably queries more about a certain specific product, whereas users coming from US region has queries different related to a certain specific product. So it also provides the ability to drive the different intents of the users based on their geography, their persona profile, etc. And there's a whole range of very regular analytics like repeat users, time spent, engagement level, number of steps required to address a query. But the key differentiating features are really around segmenting the users around the conversations that they are having and providing a deeper analysis of the goal completion rates, so you can kind of directly address to how much ROI you are able to generate by deploying the platform.
Okay, sure. Got another quick question saying that from Ramarao that their work from home is completely set up. People are accessing their applications remotely, but they face some bandwidth issues or hardware setup things. Is there something that Yellow Messenger would suggest in this case?
Yeah, so what we have seen is you can only imagine, right? I think is that if you see on your own phone when the bandwidth is less, your applications are always loading and loading and loading, whereas your communication on WhatsApp is reasonably seamless, right? I mean, you send a message, you get back a message, etc. The primary reason for that is most of the applications are designed to be synchronous applications. That means that you need to be on top of the applications to get the data and wait for them. Both of them need to function at the same time. Whereas chat by itself is a asynchronous application. That means that you kind of act on it when you get the data, and you can choose when to act back on it at any point of time. It just remains in the same state, right? You can continue on even after 1 hour or 2 hours. So that is the impact that I think a chat-based application or conversational application deliver by enabling these synchronous applications to behave in a way that is asynchronous, which is the best way to use an application uh, uh, in a low bandwidth scenario. And text by itself is low bandwidth, so To give an example, right? Somebody needs to open an ERP application to place an order. Right? Just opening up the ERP application is like a lot of loading time, and by the time it loads, it might have logged off as well. And imagine just putting out the same order, right? I just say on a ERP application, order this number of paints or this number of products on WhatsApp. You send it off, and even the application is low, it's kind of happening at the back end. From your side, the communication is completed, and you get a response whenever the order is placed, so you don't need to be on the application to wait for it. So that's an area that that Yellow Messenger and conversational AI can play a role in low bandwidth scenarios.
Sure. Next question from Sarath. How much difference in cost and development time one can expect for an AI versus non-AI chatbot? And indicative ratio assuming other things are same.
So AI versus non-AI, I would say easily 10x difference in terms of implementation and even in terms of cost as well. So there's a significant difference between AI and non-AI chatbots.
Okay, next one from Suraj Rao. Do I need to configure the FAQs individually for a chatbot to work, or can it be extracted from my knowledge base? Example, in HR bot, would it be sufficient if I upload a PDF HR document, or do I need to individually configure the Q&As?
Okay, I'll give a more detailed answer on that. The small answer is yes, it can read the PDFs, etc. The long answer or more detailed answer is that it's a trade-off between accuracy and coverage. If you kind of configure the FAQs separately, you can do 10, 20, 30, 40, 100. The accuracy rates there can reach about 97, 98% as well. Whereas there is ability to read PDFs and answer queries based on that. The accuracy ratios there would be about 60 to 70%. But both have their own scenarios. We have seen companies have 5,000, 10,000, or even lakhs of PDF documents based on which they need to answer. And humanly, it's not possible to configure those many FAQs in the bot. So in those scenarios, taking a little bit hit on the accuracy is worthwhile because you're getting a lot of coverage. The reason it's not accurate as well, just to kind of understand, put it out, is that the reason you get like more accurate results in Google is that there is a way to index the responses based on page ranks, etc. But you're putting a PDF, it's like a clean source, right? I mean, there is no way to index the importance of each different answer. So it starts definitely at a low accuracy. Whereas you're configuring, you're clearly telling or indexing the algorithm saying that, hey, this is the right answer for this kind of query. So that's the broad answer for your question.
Sure. Next one from Vikram Rao. Can you share an example of a customer experience live bot and give us a quick walkthrough?
Sure. So I don't know if I can like open and share, but I think the best way to kind of check this out is all these are live. So you can go to bajajfinserv.in and there is a bot called Blue. You can interact with it. You can go to Indigo Airlines. So botty out there, again, customer experience. So broadly, I think these two are examples. I don't need to even walk through. You can try them out yourself.
Sure. Next one from Prashant Kumar asking how these bots can work together with RPA bots.
A brilliant question actually. So the bots integrate with both Automation Anywhere and UiPath bots. Typically, what we've seen is that the integration with RPA bots is needed when the legacy applications don't have programmatic controls. So to give a basic scenario is somebody asks for a claim settlement on a WhatsApp. The bot understands and wants to place that request back. And placing that request back probably requires an uploading of the document and a process that needs 2-3 different applications to be invoked. And RPA bot takes that over and actually places that claim with the form on those 3 applications. So it's a definite scenario. We are seeing customers use it, and we have customers who have used it as well. But if the backend applications have programmatic access, conversational AI with programmatic access is much faster than integrating with RPA, because RPA, there is limitation in the number of machines available, so you can't really do like 1,000 processes at the same time, right? I think you need to have separate machines, and it's reasonably seamless. But yes, it can integrate, but the preference is that if there's a programmatic control, the process orchestration is done through the programmatic control than an RPA process.
Thank you. Next one from Vijendra Singh. Suppose we want a result from a policy document, PDF. Does the platform support such kind of an extraction from unstructured PDF?
Yes, it does. It does. So a policy document is actually not that unstructured. Unstructured. The earlier question was more unstructured. They like you have like HR policy documents. Policy document is fairly constant across most of the policy holders. So it's much more easier to kind of make use of those documents and train it over a period of time to answer queries based on the policy document. The only thing that the PDF needs to be a real PDF. It's not like a JPEG, or it's not like an image, right? It's a text PDF that is needed.
Next one from Somak Kundu asking, can 2 different bots be integrated in special cases?
Oh, absolutely. This is I think a core requirement for enterprise-wide deployments. The way it works is through an orchestrator scenario. So there is a motherboard, or there's an orchestrator that can sit on top of a lot of bots. I mean, not only 2, but we have seen cases there are even 100. Right. So let's say in a company, the end user wouldn't want to interact with one HR board, one ID board, or procurement. I mean, the beauty of conversational AI and virtual assistants is you can go to it for anything that you want. But at the back end, the world is still hierarchical or distributed. HR team is different from IT support team. Procurement team is different from these teams, and all of these teams want to manage their own data, want to manage their own content, want to manage their own bot. So these different bots can be linked to a central orchestrator or a mother bot that can further orchestrate the user queries across these 3 different bots to deliver the answer back to the customer. And these are actually right now mainstream.
Sure. Next one, have you used facial recognition as authentication in any of the implemented projects?
No, we haven't used facial recognition as authentication. Where we have used facial recognition is to suggest the suitable hairstyles. But no, we haven't used facial recognition in our bots. So the capability would exist, but we haven't yet.
Can the bot be configured in Spanish language?
Absolutely.
Okay. What are the typical implementation timelines?
So as I said, for this BCP, without too many integrations to the backend systems, 7 days is an absolute good time to actually deploy a bot.
Sure. And how are the bots trained / retrained?
Okay. So as the technology is getting more advanced, the amount of training that is required for bots is coming down drastically. A year back, a significant amount of training was needed based on earlier utterances for that specific function or intent. I don't know if you have learned. I mean, I would encourage anyone of the natural language practitioners to look about something called BERT and sentence embedding. So a lot of the softwares and platform, including ours, is coming up with already trained models based on the relationship between multiple sentences. So the ability of the platforms to find similar sentences with very little training is actually possible right now. So the platform provides the ability to train where for the common user queries and the responses for it. But the amount of training that is required to make them functional is like continuously coming down. And we are also coming up with a new feature in another 2 weeks where it's possible to deploy a live chat with a complete 100% human-based assistance on day one. Like you want to do a deployment today, you kind of can get it live. And based on the human responses over the next 1 or 2 weeks, the bot gets trained and start to answer those queries automatically. So the way that the training happens is more seamless, and it's just like based on how the customer support agents are responding, it can learn from that and do something like a Google auto suggest, but for customer support, IT support, and HR support scenarios.
Sure. Does it have the capability to manage post-exit auto queries, for example, sharing salary slip, experience letters, etc.?
Absolutely, absolutely. So sharing salary slips, all that is like, I mean, it's been used, it's mainstream. Sharing insurance
Sure.
policies. So the way it's
Is
done
it
is
possible?
there's a login that's created on the systems that is specifically for this application. So virtual assistant becomes almost like a virtual employee with its own permissions. And using those permissions, it goes to the system, extracts it, and sends it back to the user.
Sure. Is it possible to address the challenges of duplicacy of reports, like reports required by supervisors across any hierarchy in a work from home setup, especially for a company that's new to it?
Yeah, so not sure I understand the question completely, but I'll answer it based on my understanding. So there are different documents and data that are available for the company, and they need to be made accessible based on the role settings of the different groups. If that is the question, yes, absolutely. So the platform is integrated with Microsoft Active Directory or Google login. And if the data that is managed is also the permission levels of that are addressed through central login systems like a Google, like a Microsoft Active Directory, this can absolutely work. But otherwise, you can also define those hierarchy levels within our platform, but that would be a little bit more cumbersome. We would prefer if there is an existing framework around Microsoft Active Directory that most organizations typically have. In that case, that is supported.
Sure. Next question. Do you support mobile applications as well? Which means, do you have a separate app or web app which is open in the mobile?
Absolutely. So we have SDKs that are available for Android and iOS. So either this entire virtual assistant can be a mobile app itself, or this virtual assistant can be installed on top of an existing mobile app using an SDK.
For ITSM, is it more of do-it-yourself kind of response by bot, which is pre-configured? Or do you see any other use case whereby bots can really troubleshoot remote connectivity, VDI kind of issues real time?
So the existing capability right now in the platform is to troubleshoot and resolve issues where there is programmatic access. But if the resolution of the issues require, let's say, access to your desktop and actually making some changes on the desktop, we integrate with third-party RPA tools to enable that.
Next one, does this platform support unsupervised or supervised learning? In case of unsupervised learning, how to ensure platform does not learn the bad way?
Yeah. So predominantly it is It is supervised and semi-supervised. It's not completely unsupervised learning at this point of time. In fact, I don't think at the level of data that is required for a lot of virtual assistants in the enterprise scenario needs a lot of unsupervised. Unsupervised learning is really uh, uh, to handle when there is a humongous amount of data, but you are also taking the risk of unpredictability of the responses. So it is supervised and semi-supervised at this point of time.
Can the bots be used to specific tasks like investigating a duplicate data, comma, fake data, etc.?
Okay, so again, on this query, I'll kind of address based on what we. So I think the platform and conversation AI is more not about what it can do, but what you can do with it. So as long as there is an ability to do a function, like checking this duplicate data, etc., and there's rules around it and it's programmable, that's definitely can be done done within the platform.
Sure. And the next question is the 7 days of implementation, does it include specific training for the bot?
It does include specific training for the bot, and but it does limit to saying that, hey, this 7 day overall 7 day plan can do a lot of things. What I'm talking about too is on our free offer for that 7 day BCP bot deployment is that it limits to certain number of scenarios, for 10 to 15 number of scenarios that can be automated. But assuming the data APIs, programmatic controls are available, I think any number of functions can be deployed in that 7 days.
How to get access to the trial version?
I have Rugesh and Vartika as a part of the call. You just send a mail to contact@yellowmessenger.com and we'll enable a trial version.
Next question, what are your thoughts on entertaining chit chat in enterprise bots? Example, bots should at least be able to respond to a thank you.
Yeah, so we call it a short small talk module, or it's about small talk, and absolutely, I think that needs to be enabled, and that requires a little bit of generative NLP. That means that you can either pre-configure that, hey, these are the small talks, and whenever you ask for thank you, this kind of comes back. But it could be also dependent on the way that the user thanks. So thanks could get a different response from thank you. It's formal versus informal. So bots need to have that ability. But again, everything depends on the goal of the bot, right? In the sense that if the goal is automating something, then all these might not be that important. So what we have seen is that even we had this capability about like 6 months back. We didn't have that capability 6 months back, but did it make a difference? It made a difference only in certain number of parts, right? In the sense that if there is a financial services, somebody is coming completely with a transactional mindset, and for them, whether the part what is chit chatting or whether it's saying thank you in certain way, etc., is not mattering a lot. But there are use cases where FMCG companies, etc., where you're trying to engage the user and and provide a rich experience to experience their products, right? In those scenarios, it absolutely makes a difference. But yeah, it should have, but it might be important or less important in different business scenarios.
If you want to use the bot for a specific task like handling the HRM only and not customer service, is that doable?
Absolutely.
Okay. Last question. You've talked a lot about transactional work being reduced by the bot, but what about employee coaching and counseling? Is that something that you also offer like other tools do?
So we offer employee engagement. Employee coaching has, so from a platform perspective, the tools that we support is quizzes. The tools we support is content generation. The tools we support is surveys and queries. So these are the tools that the platform supports. The way to engage the employees and drive learning and development is something that is completely based on content and domain experience of that specific company. So as a company, we don't offer that so we are not domain experts in learning and development, but we enable the tools for learning and development departments or integration with learning and development tools to enable L&D on bots and virtual assistants.
Sure. Thank you, Raghu. These were the set of questions we had, and thank you for your time to answer those patiently one by one. So for the attendees, we'll share the link to the recording of this webinar for reference, along with some other details for you to pursue. I thank everyone for their time today, especially Raghu. Your expertise and knowledge that you shared about the tool is commendable. And thank you, everyone. We'll end the webinar now, and we'll be in touch. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.